This is a mix of online and in-person teachers.
Awesome.
So this is a very relevant session.
Awesome. This should be a lot of fun then. And feel free, I mean, perfect, you're recording already, so perfect. Good to go. Whenever you are, you let me know.
Ready, set, go when you're ready.
Oh yeah, is that it? I had more small talk. I heard you guys got snow. Yeah, so I won't bring it up. Sorry, it's spring.
Oh no, it's good. It makes everything smell good, and it confuses the geese. It's okay. We get snow until May, sometimes August. I mean, you just never know around here.
Oh boy. Well, what should I get rocking and rolling here? What do we think? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Hi everybody. I am not Jody Bean. I am. My name's Alek. I've been an educator for 10 years now. I've been with Smart for 4 years, and I'm stepping in to fill some pretty big shoes. So if you've ever met Jody before, she does a lot of your trainings and she does a fantastic job. She sends her regards and her apologies, and she's asked that I step in today. Now, you should know this isn't my most familiar wheelhouse, but please put me through the paces, ask questions. Let's make this as informal as we can. And what we're going to be discussing today is Lumio by Smart and how it can be used to really check in with our kiddos. So yeah, I mean, the topic is assessment. We can call it assessment for learning, action for learning, check-ins, temperature checks. There's going to be lots of different tools that we look at today. But what I would love for you to do is say, hey, this is a great tool. Here's how I would use it. So I want your feedback, throughout the session. First things first, I'm going to share my screen with you here. Just let me know when you can see it. And sharing my whole screen. Can I just get a verbal? Are we good to go? Can you see my screen okay? Oh, sorry, I can't see. Are we good? Yep. Okay, awesome. Thanks. Thanks, Steve. Alrighty. So I am going to do a little bit of housekeeping. So where am I? How did I get here? But as always, I'm going to ask that you become students for the first portion of the session, and then we'll circle back around and we'll take a look at how I created some of these things. But just basics first. I started, or I should say I can start here in Google Drive. So you'll notice that I'm connected here. And I'll zip over real quick just so you can see. And remember that, Lumio is caked right into Google Drive for you. So anything that you have here, you're going to have the ability to either right click on and open with Lumio by Smart, or you can go to New, More, and Lumio by Smart. And the final way is you can actually just click on your waffle, and then down you come, and you can click here for Lumio by Smart. Whatever way you decide to get in from, it's going to bring you over to a page that looks like this. Now, this is your home page. And what I want to remind you is that everything that you do is going to be saved back so that you can share this out through Google Classroom, or you can organize it in Drive. Remember, it's always going to be connected there for you. Now, I have a lesson prepared, but I do want you to know that everything I do today, we have always on training that you can use to access files and videos for how I did this. And you can always explore our resources. These are always on activities. So there's collections here. There's different manipulatives, or you can sort by topic. You can sort by grade. You can sort by subject. So lots of check-ins or assessment opportunities, regardless of the curriculum area and age. All right, here's the one I got created for you, though. I just want you to see that any of these, even if they're created, I can click on it, I can edit, and I can do a lot of fun stuff. So on the fly, I can always come back in and add in some more interactivity. Remember what I told you. I'll be back here at the back half of our session today to explain, just what some additional power of these things are, what we can do. But for right now, I'm going to hit finish editing because I'm a teacher who came prepared to my class, and I'm going to hit start. Now, that wasn't always the way in my 10 years. The amount of times I had to pull stuff on the fly, maybe I shouldn't admit it, but I did. I'm sure we all do. All right, team. First things first. I'd love it if you were to join me in today's session. I want you to be a student so that you can experience just some of the things that we do. Now, I'm going to model this for us, and pardon me, I'm just going to launch an incognito window here. And the reason I'm doing that is because when students go to sign into this, it'll actually cache for them. So they don't need to really remember your ID. It'll allow them to come back to your class. But what I'd love for you to do is go to hellosmart.com, www.hellosmart.com. Then I'd love it if you were to join as a guest. Now, the reason I'm asking you to join as a guest is just because it's faster. You can sign in here. And when you do, it's going to ask that you sign in with an email address and a password. Again, it's just faster if we click join as a guest, pop in that class ID, and hit next. Now, the really cool part, so, you said that we have a few people from a virtual school, a few people that are in class, and that's great. You can use this anywhere. You might look at this and you might think, well, this looks like it was designed for virtual teaching. And the truth is it wasn't. It was actually designed for helping you leverage the devices that students had in class. It just so happens that it plays really, really well in the virtual teaching world here. So I'm joined in as a teacher, as a student on the right-hand side, and this is what you're seeing on your devices. And on the left-hand side, here I am as a teacher. Now, forgive me if you've done this before, if you've been in here before, and I covered the basics there. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Now, we're talking about this for assessment, and I'm going to start by showing of course, we can use this to help guide our students as well. There's a great quote that students can hit the targets that they can see and they can visualize. And I just want you to know, you have the ability here to help target, actions for your students. So it's going to your students' devices in real time. And if they were to click on the three dots, or if you were to click on the three dots over there on the side of your screen, I just want you to know that this is brand new. We actually have an immersive reader that's built in now. So you can actually click on that, and then you can leverage the immersive reader here so that you can really ensure that your students are gaining all they can from your lesson. All right, let's get over to the meat and potatoes here. We're going to talk about assessment. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just seeing the waiting for teacher screen still. I'm not sure if that's just me.
Oh, okay. Is anyone else seeing waiting for teacher still? No? Okay. So common... Okay, so what we can do is just hit refresh on your student's screen. Now that happens sometimes if you're dropping some packets, if you're spotty Wi-Fi. It's okay. All that you need to do is refresh your screen. At the very worst, I would have you sign out and come back in. You just let me know if that's helped. But I'm going to kind of carry on because I am seeing in the chat that a lot of other people are, they're with me, and I think that will solve the problem. Is that okay?
Yep, for sure.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And it's a really important question. Here's how you troubleshoot, team. You hit refresh, and if you need to sign out and come back in, then that's something that you can do as well. So what we're going to look at today is how we can use this to check in with our students, right? For assessment of learning, or knowledge gained, whatever you want to call it. I have a few different activities lined up, and I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my very best, Jody, to show you how you can use these in different scenarios. So number one, I love a good lights on. Okay, I love an activity that gets my students using the tools and then thinking about the topic. And this here is called a workspace activity. Workspaces can be groups or they can be whole class activities. I set this up on the fly by clicking Set Up. And then it's going to ask me how many teams. I can have up to 9 teams of 6, or I can have unlimited students working in the same space. So if you wanted to have the entire school all working together, you could do that. I've had over 300 folks in a class before. So let's do a whole class whiteboard. We got 15 people signed in, and I can tell because my classroom tab up here shows me 15 students. And, you know, I can say hi to Alek and Donna and Jan and Karen and Kayla and Casey. But I'm going to go ahead and hit this whole class whiteboard. And we're all going to go ahead now. And what we're going to do is, you'll notice on the top of your screen here, I've taken an image. And if anyone's familiar with Notebook, I've turned it into the good old infinite cloner. So what I want you to do is I want you to grab that mask, and if you were to pick a superpower, what superpower would you pick? Would you be super strong? Would you be a shapeshifter? Would you be a mind reader? Or would you be invisible? Go ahead. Awesome. Now, as a teacher, I want you to know that I can click on anybody's action. So if you've moved over into super strength, I can see that it was Mrs. Hart that wanted super strength. And as well, it was Vanessa that wanted super strength. And the shapeshifters, they were Miss B. And I'm just trying to show you how I'm keeping track of who's doing what. I just click on the image that moved, and I can see who did that. Now, we're going to get to a few other actions that you can use in this space, but I'll just call them out real quick. Right now, you're using your mouse to move items that I've placed on your page. You could also use a pen to write, and if it was, if you had a touch-enabled device, like you got your phone or you got your iPad, some sort of tablet, touchscreen Chromebooks, whatever it is, you can use the pen, you can use your finger to write there. You can also select an eraser to erase that ink. You can select images either from your device that you're connecting from, and you do that by clicking Select Image, or you can add a web link, or you can just search the web with our Bing Safe Search Images. And I want you to be super confident. These are all safe images that you can search, and I love this. This is the super strength of cuteness. It's unbelievable. Now, that's all here for us, and we all have inline text that we can place in the space as well. Now, more on that in a minute, but just want you to know, students, you got lots of options for how you're going to connect to this lesson and show me your learning. Alrighty. One of the second things that we have, now the first one, that was a workspace, right? I wanted you all to work either in groups or together. And the second one that I have for you here is called a Shout It Out. A Shout It Out is a great check-in that you can launch with your students. And I can either ask you to submit text or images. So here's what I want to know. Who is your favorite superhero? And who is your favorite super villain? So you can click on select an image and it'll bring you to your device, or I could change this and I could make it text. And actually, I think I'm going to change this up on the fly, and I'm going to make this a text contribution instead of a video, or instead of an image. Here's how I do that. Ready? I click on the hamburger tab up here at the top. I hit edit my lesson. Students, see how it just says, yep, waiting for your teacher there? I'm going to click on edit the activity. And I'm going to change it from images to text. See how simple that was? Alrighty. And now I'm just going to hit finish editing, and we're right back to it. Alrighty. So team, my apologies. It doesn't have to be images. Let's do text. who is your favorite superhero? Who's your favorite super villain? That was always a big Batman fan. And I'm going to put that in the superhero category. I love the group. Absolutely. So I'm going to go big screen here just so you can see. Awesome. So we got a lot of shout outs for Wolverine, for Wonder Woman. I'm not familiar with. I haven't been watching all of the Marvel movies. I'll be honest. But what's really cool here is I want you to know that you can put these. You can help categorize. You can move these. You can also come on over here to the left-hand side, and you can turn off display names so that everyone has a safe space to put their contributions into the lesson. And ideally, if we were in class, I'd have my students up to the board organizing. And this is an interesting discussion topic, is Garfield a superhero or a supervillain? I don't know. Odie might disagree with superhero. So Shout It Out is just a great way that we can check in with our kids. And I can launch one on the fly. Watch how I do it. Ready? Add button down here left-hand side. And then launch Shout It Out just right here. So give that a click. And I could just check in with you. I could ask you a question like, hey, how are you feeling about this tool so far? Do you like it? You got questions? Do you just want to say hi to me? Go ahead. You can text something in that space. Perfect. Super duper. Pretty cool. I love it. Anything else there? Great. Love it. Here it is. Hello. You like it? You love it? On the fly? Yeah. On the fly means without me needing to leave my lesson, I can add stuff in. So on the fly means that I can always come down here to this add button, give it a click, and I got lots of options for things that I can send out to check in with my kids. That's what I meant by on the fly. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do now is head over to my next session. I want you to know that we can put content in here like videos or just our standard lesson content. But then what I can do is I can click up here on this this connected students mode, and I can switch it from a teacher paste to a student paste. And the reason I'm showing you this in an assessment lesson is because we don't always retain everything that we get taught on each page. It's important that as we're opening up our assessment spaces, that students, they can go anywhere they need to go to reconnect to their learning, if you're allowing that, right? So they can come back to this video and they can play it on their own time. And I, as a teacher, I can leave. I can go somewhere else, and I'm not affecting what the student is doing. So they can press play. They can go back and they can take a look at the content that the teacher was working on. Heck, they can even go back in and continue working in their workspaces. So it's super, super powerful. And what you should also know is, and I'm going to show you how to do this, teachers, we can record our audio. So we can record 5 minutes of instruction on every page. And that means anytime a student needs to go back and review something, they don't need to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, can you explain that again? You can say, I recorded that in the space, go give it a try, and then I can help you if that's where you're at in your, in your support. So just a really powerful tool. Now, I want you to know that at any point, I can make any page, whether it is something I did on the fly, like a whiteboard or a Shout It Out or a Desmos calculator. I can make any of those pages handouts for my students. Let me show you how I do that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you back. Okay, so you might be wandering around the lesson, and I'm just going to do a quick countdown here, switch it from student paste to teacher paste. There we go. We're all looking at the same page. I can do my modeling. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to make a list for me of some of your favorite superheroes. or supervillains. And then I want you to tell me what characteristic made you choose them. So what was it about them that made you choose these characters? Notice how I just put some ink on my page, right? I highlighted some key concepts maybe, but I can always come down here, bottom left-hand side of my tool tab, and I can reset that page, and it'll take that away. It'll take all that inking away just so you can give your students a nice clean page. I'm going to click on my class because this is for them, and I'm going to turn it into an individual handout. And there we go. So let's make a list here. Who is your favorite and why? I'm gonna click on the three buttons there if I didn't already have my tools up, and I told you that Batman was my favorite, and the why was because he didn't really have superpowers except for his grumbly voice. So there we go. I've got my task in there. And remember, we can set this up however we want. And then the extension task was to add pictures or links from a favorite website. So, I mean, I could click on this mountain tab here, or the images tab. I could bring in live URLs, and that's really important to know, regardless of the task. So I can pop that live URL in, and that becomes, linked for me. And of course, I can search for Bing Safe certified images. They're all education safe. Oh, and one thing I'll tell you about those YouTube videos, ad-free. That's right, ad-free, education safe YouTube videos, because we've all been there. We're like, oh, what ad is going to pop up? There we go. So we have our images, our websites, and now maybe I just want to click up here and I want to tell my teacher I'm done. Go ahead and hit done. There you go. Perfect. So Miss B's handed her work in. Alex handed his work in. I'm going to pick on someone that maybe hasn't handed their work in yet. Karen, I'm gonna come on to your space here. Okay. So Karen, I want to check in, and I've checked in with Karen, and I can see that she hasn't picked a superhero yet. So maybe I want to give her some suggestions, right? I've been caught. So here's what I want you to know. It's okay. I mean, we're just exploring this, right? All I want you to know is that I can click on spaces and I can see in real time. Oh, perfect. I found the Wolverine fan. So, maybe I want to provide some feedback here. So if I just wanted to tick, or if I wanted to put some feedback into Mark's space here, just some generic feedback. I know, not very actionable. But I could also, if I had some stickers, I love having a bank of stickers that I can put into my student spaces. Or I can just, search for good work sticker. Perfect. And then I can, tell Mark, keep up the good work here. So I want you to know that we have lots of options to use the same tools or the same techniques that we use not on a daily basis, but we can use them digital here as well. All right, team, so that's my individual spaces, and I just want you to know that I'm toggling between the student workspaces with my list of names here, and then I can just click on a student to see how they're doing, right? So this is Alek's workspace here, but if I wanted to jump out and I wanted to see Karen or Casey, I can just click this little chevron in the top left-hand side, and that's what gets me back here. Now, at any point, if you want to do some more modeling, you can come down here to Teacher Handout, give it a click, and then it gives you a brand new fresh copy so that you can do some modeling for your students. Now, team, I am well aware that's a lot of me talking. It's about 20 minutes of me talking. I'm going to hit the add button, and I'm going to hit shout it out because I want to know what questions you have. But I'm going to before I set you off, I want you to know this. I'm going to be doing more traditional summative assessments as well as game-based formative assessments next. I just want to know, do you have any questions so far on the tools that we've used? And here's a best practice for you. In virtual school teachers, I'm sure that you've done this as well. If the answer is no, I just want you to put no questions, because at least that way you're communicating with me to let me know that you're good to move on. So the task again, if you have any questions, please fire them in. If you have no questions at this time, please put in not yet, or even better, you could pop a little joke in there. That'd be great. All right. So I'm going to just have a look here, and I'm going to organize these questions. And again, I'd encourage, if I'm in person, I'd encourage my students to come up and to help me organize. All right, so no questions yet. Tim says good to go. I love that. All right. So number one, Mark asks, does this program work with tablets and Chromebooks? And the answer is yes, absolutely. It is designed to work with tablets and Chromebooks. So any touch that the tablet has as well, or iPad has as well, you can definitely use that. Can students see the shouted out results, i.e. what everyone else answered? So Vanessa, if you're in class, then yeah, you'll be able to see it on the front of room display, whatever that is. If you are teaching in a virtual environment like we are now, it would force me as a teacher to share my screen. That said, our product, so our team that's developing this has taken this request and will be building in the ability for students to click on and see what the entire class has said on their device, so that we as virtual teachers don't have to share our screen. It's a really good question. So when I clicked the sound button to make it read to me, it took me to another page. Yes, you're absolutely right. So Mr. S, when you clicked on the Immersive Reader tab, which was just over here on the left-hand side, and I'll show that again to you in just a moment, it brings you out to a separate web page. And from there, you would, of course, be able to just come straight back into the lesson by clicking back. But yes, it does bring you out to the Immersive Reader web page. So you're absolutely right there. No questions, but you like how the pop-up at the bottom tells me what's going on. I love that too. And then Vanessa, pardon me. So this is a knock-on from this question. The question here was about the shouted outs and how everyone can see. So right now, no, I'm not sharing from the teacher screen on a smartboard. Right now, I'm just on my computer. I'm just on my PC and I'm doing a screen share. And this is what the teacher sees. If I was at a smartboard, then yes, I could definitely just share this with no computer connected straight from the whiteboard on my smart MX panel that I believe you'd see around Edmonton Public. What I'll do here is, if there's any further questions on this, I'm going to table them for now, and I'll just make sure that your use case is answered off at the very end of the call. But I do want to make sure that we understand. I don't need to have a smartboard connected to use this. So how do students access their work after the lesson? Great question. Really good question. Do you remember when I asked you at the very start to just sign in as a guest? I said it was faster, and that was true. All right, it was faster for you to sign just to join as a guest. But if you were to sign in with Google or Microsoft, what you would do is you'd be creating an ID as a student within my lesson. And what that means for me is that as a student, I can actually come back in, use that same sign in, and I can access all of that work, the individual or collaborative work that I did previously. So you do need to sign in if you're going to go back into a workspace. But if you're just joining as a guest, which is what the majority of us have done, except for Miss B, except for Mrs. Hart, and I can see that here on my classroom panel. Even guests can look back at the lesson and they can watch the videos. They can play the games that we're just about to do. They can read the slides and listen to my teacher's recorded audio. So there is still benefit to handing this work out, even if your students did not sign in. Now, I will just show you, because we're on the topic, I will just show you, if I go to my, and I'm going to end the lesson, but don't worry, you're all going to be coming right back in. Remember this home page? Remember where we started? If I click on Edit Class, which is up here in the top right-hand side, I can click Manage Guest Access. Now, I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to kick my guests out of the lesson, but I can toggle it so that students can only sign in. Now, if you're going to ask your students to be, working on this asynchronously, then I would highly recommend that you make them sign in. You force that sign in. If you're just going to deliver it in class, then you can have them join however they're most comfortable. All right, back to my lesson. So, and I can hear a few questions coming into the chat, so I'm actually going to pause. Would it be, so could someone please read the questions out that are in the chat? I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything for the team.
It was actually, sorry, Alec, it was me. So teachers can start a lesson through Google Drive, but students then would have to sign in through Hello Smart in order to see this lesson again. Is that correct?
That's
okay.
Correct, yeah.
And then there is this question in the chat from Vanessa about how students see the shouted out results, but I think you were going to go over that afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. So and here, while we're paused, I'll do it right now. So if I have a display behind me, which I do now, I could just run it directly from the display or the projector or whatever's in my class. I could just share it directly there, and students will see it same way they see all your other content. If I am a virtual teacher, then I'm going to make sure that I'm doing what I'm doing right now, which is sharing my screen so that everyone can see the results. Any other questions there, Blythe?
Can I just ask about the sharing? So are the students, are you sharing, dragging over the whole tab and then sharing everything? Or is it, I'm not sure. I guess I just don't get the sharing part, because would your students see you change something or see somebody? Do you know what I'm trying to say? They can see your whole teacher dashboard then, or?
Yeah, sure. So what I did when I was sharing to you guys is, so I'm sharing from here and you can see my screen. What I did was I just shared my entire screen, but you could just pick a specific tab if that's what you were more comfortable with. I'm sharing my whole screen with you right now. So I'm running my Google Meet here. And then my Lumio tab, sorry, I have too many tabs open. My Lumio tab is just right next to it. And that's what I'm sharing with you, and that's the activity.
Okay, thanks. I thought maybe I missed a share button or something in the actual
not at all. I'm just using the meeting platform to share my screen with you right now.
Okay, thanks.
My pleasure. Good question. So team, we've played the games, or excuse me, we've watched the videos, we've done our individual work. Now I think it's time that we play a game. What do you say? So we have a lot of opportunities for formative assessment in Lumio, and it's a ton of fun, right? There's lots of different activities. I'm going to show you just a few right now, but I want you to know that there's 12 of them. 12 templates, excuse me. They are all customizable. They are all super fun and designed for K-12. If you don't like the music and the monsters, you can pare it down and you can make it, a little bit more cut and dry. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit start for class, and this one here is called a monster quiz. And here we go. I'm going to break you up into teams. Let's have 15 students. Let's go ahead and have 5 teams. You can see here that they're coming in a random order, but I just want you to know that I can go ahead and, I can move Karen, because Karen and Kyla are just troublemakers when they work together, right? But, Vivian and Miss B, no way. But Tim and Mark, they work really, really well together. Karen and Vanessa, they do too. Just want you to know that you can switch up those teams. Now, if I'm in class, I could have said, go sit with your team. Don't have to. but here we go. Just a quick quiz on superheroes and supervillains. And if you have volume on, here you go, you'll hear mine. Oh, maybe not, I gotta turn that up. There we go. And I know. There we go. Firestormer's coming in second there. Frostbiter's got it. And I know, team. Some corny jokes in there, but hey, that's why I love teaching. Now, here's the really cool part. That game, I could have customized it. I made them all of the questions play in the same order, but for you, I could have had them show up in random order. I could have asked, I could have raised your time limit to answer each question or removed it altogether. But here's the really cool part. If you click review, as a student, you can see what you got right on the first try. And as a teacher, you can do whole class reviews as well. So we can go ahead and we could scroll through and just see, where do I need to focus some of my time? And this is a terrible trick question, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much fun am I having? But I can target it here, right? I can see where I need to go back and review review the concepts. Now, we can also we can just do activities that are on your own time. So you can go ahead and you can start playing that word search here, and of course they're all customizable, and I can make it so that these hints become available on my own timeline. Click here for that hint. There we go. Give me my starting location. So there's word searches, and I am just conscious of time here, so we're going to move on. There's word searches. There are games that we can use to really transfer the ownership of the learning over to the students. So we can click on, let's just go ahead and start this activity. It's my student choice board. And I love student choice, right? Have the kids pick their own tasks. And of course, you can put different points on here for each task. But it allows them to connect with it on their own time, right? Now, the last kind of activity that we have here, this one's called a response. And if anyone remembers when we had the clickers, it's the same pro forma, it's the same structure, except now we're going to use the computer or the device that's in the student's hands to answer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit start for class. And remember, what you see on the left-hand side of my screen, this is the teacher view. And what you see on the right-hand side of my screen, these are the students. So there's just a few key points that I want you all to know. Lumio lets me make lessons from notebook files, PowerPoint, Google PDF. The answer is actually all of the above. We can make lessons and activities and assessments from any of the files that we have already. Really cool part as well, I'll show you in a second. You can actually smash them together. So you can put like a notebook file and a PowerPoint and a Google slide all together and make it a brand new lesson. Number 2, when my students finish this assessment, they and I will have the results automatically. The answer is, well, what do you think? Same as the monster quiz, right? Choose all the correct answers here. So we got multiple answer, and I'm just showing you question types, by the way. This one's multiple choice. This one is true, false. This one is multiple answer, so select as many right answers as you can. This one's actually just a poll and an opinion. So which one is the best holiday? I want to know from my class. Now, as you're doing it, as you're going through the assessment, I want you to see here that I have real-time results. So I can see that 12 of my 16 students answered the first question. So I don't want you to be that student. Please make sure you answer the first question. You can also see here the results as we go, and we can break it down by by pie chart or by bar graph as well. We can see that any long weekend is the favorite holiday of the folks on the call. And I'd have to agree with you. I'll take any long weekend as well. And how many friends are you going to be telling this about? So how many colleagues? 5 friends, at least 1, 3, lots, 200. I like all my friends. So you'll see here that we can do our word wall. So it, the most aligned answer becomes bigger. And this is just, a ton of fun. You can see that whether it's in list view or you can see it as the word wall here. Now, when I end the activity, which is just here on the left-hand side, or as a student, if I click on my hamburger tab, review my answers, and then submit, I can see that I'm done here. But I, as a teacher, can hit end at any time, end activity, and I'll hit end and review. Now here's what I love about this. Yes, I'll show you over here how we have all of the students' answers lined up. But as of the student answers collected. But here, as a teacher, sorry guys, long day. As a student, I have real-time feedback. I can go through and see what I got right, see what I got wrong, see what my opinion was. And then as a teacher, I can actually come down here to this button. I can click export results. I love this. It'll actually rag all of the information for me. So red, amber, green, it'll tell me what my students got on the assessment, what their opinion was, and it's just in an Excel doc now. I didn't have to tick and flip, and we all know that takes time, right? Ticking and flipping. And what you can do now, there you go, just have them here, and they're ready to go. So congratulations to everybody who was 100% on the test. Amazing job. But it's nice to know that you have that. So I'm going to pause here. I'll open up a shout it out space again. The next portion of this so the next 15 minutes is going to be you and I just going through how simple that was to create and where I can find pre-made resources. But I'll pause here. Another fun activity. I'll click my star and I'll put a timer on this activity and I'll give you 30 seconds. Fire those questions in, or you can go ahead and you can grab a quick drink of water like I'm going to do. So 30 seconds. Any questions up to this point? No questions, and thank you. Thank you for the recall there. If you have no questions, please put that in. No questions. And another cool extension you could do is, hey, I got no questions, but here's an idea. Right, here's an idea for how I'm going to use something. You can always extend your students that way. Thanks so much for popping that in there. How did I discover Lumio? Actually, funny story. I'll tell you maybe I'll just tell you right now. I came to Smart because in Teachers College, someone that's doing the job that I'm doing right now came to me and showed me all of these things, and I went to my placement. I pulled the smartboard out of the closet that it was in, and it was in there. Dusted it off, and we had great lessons, and that's just been on the train ever since. All right, team. Here's how I made it. You can close your student. You can close your student view now. So the one where you have the shout it out tab, you can go ahead and just. The one that looks like this. You can go ahead and you can just minimize it. You don't have to log out. You can if you want, but just go ahead and minimize that down. All right, I'm a teacher and I'm in delivery mode of my lesson right now. I know that because I have my slides, just like a normal, presentation. Google, PowerPoint, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm going to hit this hamburger tab, top left-hand side, the 3 lines. I call it hamburger. It's because I'm hungry all the time. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to hit end lesson. All right. And I'm right back to where I started. We all remember this home screen. First things first. Remember, I could be in Drive and I could get started by right-clicking with something that I have and opening it up in Lumio. Now, while that's that file's coming on over, I'm just going to jump back here because what it's doing right now is it's just uploading that file, getting ready for me to add some interactivity in. But I want you to know that even from this home screen, you can just click this big green Add Activities button. Give it a click. And it's going to ask you, what do you want to do? What content do you want to add? So you could click Import Resource, and you could bring it in from the computer that you're joining from, the library of lessons that you're creating. So that was all of the lessons on my homepage there. Or if you're connected to Google Drive, you can go ahead and just click there. You can also search for pre-made lessons, pre-made content right here. So here, let's type in assessment and see what comes up. And then I could filter my results if I wanted by grade, by subject. So I want, some grade 10 mathematics. I could even sort by region. And you can just, what I'm trying to show you here is that you don't need to recreate the wheel. It is there for you already. And that's just, those are our activities. So it's just pulling activities for you to add to your lesson. Here's how I added the YouTube video. I just clicked here. Brings me over to search YouTube. And again, ad free and education safe. I can add in Desmos graphing calculators. And if you're familiar with Desmos, of course, you can be building and then handing this out to your students. So you can build in here, build your activities. Of course you can. And then you can just add them into your lessons. Here's interactive simulations that you can use. So these are great for your experiential learning. And again, you can search by grade, by subject. But here, Here, team, is where I spent the most of my time for your lesson. Okay, here's my shout it out. So if I give that a click, you'll see that it allows me to title. I can have have students' contributions coming in random, or I can get you to break them up into categories. I can make images or text. I can raise the limit on how many times a student can contribute. I can show or hide students' names. And then I can either have it with just a nice plain gray background, or if you're someone who likes to build like me and you wanted to have those pictures behind your categories, then it's really cool. You can actually just click here and you can click and drag to bring images in, or you can click on that button and it'll actually just, again, it'll give you Bing Safe certified images, right? So we were talking about holidays, maybe too soon? maybe not too soon, not for all of us, but here we go. We can go ahead and we can put those images in here. And it just works super easy. So it's fun to create, and that's all done through just giving it a click. This response, this is where I asked you your true, false, and your multiple choice questions and multiple answers. It really is as easy as clicking the question type, putting in your question, filling out, A, B, or C, and then choosing what the right answer is. Add question, and down you go. If you wanted to add images like I did, it's the same process. You just click on it. You can either upload images from your PC, or you can browse Bing Safe Search images here. Now, here's those games that I showed you. Remember I told you there was 12 of them? So we can go ahead and we can click on this, and we can see all of the different game types. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, this guy needs to slow down. That's a lot, that's enough, right? And I agree with you. Here's what I want to tell you, though. I'm not going to go through each of these and show you what the games are. Has anyone noticed on the top right-hand side of all of these tabs, has anyone noticed that there's a little scholar tab, a little scholar cap, excuse me? If you click on it, it'll give you a YouTube video that tells you everything that I'm saying right now. The machines are coming for my job, but that's okay. I can even click on game-based activities, and I can go ahead and I can find out how each of these can be used in my lesson. I just want you to be confident to go out and browse. Take a look. see what works for you, because there's a ton of great templates here. But remember, if you don't want to create from scratch, you don't have to. You can come up here and you can find pre-made lessons or pre-made activities. And you can even come all the way down here and you can find ready-made resources. So if you're just looking for a lesson starter, like a lights on moment, you can go ahead and you can click on activating prior knowledge, because that's a great way to assess our prior learning. So what do I know about the topic? True, false, KWLQs, just straight up entrance tickets. They're here and they're built for you already. Same thing goes with our recap or our questioning or our reflection. So I love this one. How do you feel about the topic? And if you use other web-based platforms, then I'm sure that this check-in is really important to you, right? How do you feel about this? It's just like asking a thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs to the side. But there's lots of other options here that you can use to check in with your students. And again, they're all pre-made. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into these, but I do want you to know that they are there. Because remember, any one of the pages that you're adding, whether it's your existing lesson or whether it's one of our graphic organizers or manipulatives, and I'll just point this one out as we start, if you're starting a new class, the calendar tab here, this always becomes really popular. But all these are notebook files. And what that means is everything can be moved on the students' devices. They are manipulatives. They're digital manipulatives for your students. So, when you hand this out to them, you can go ahead and they're going to be able to, move their fraction bar. They're going to be able to move their dates and times around their calendar. So I remember all I did there was I clicked on this tab, I browsed my manipulatives, and then I added them in. And there are lots there. So I do want to show you just really quickly how I turned this into a handout for you. First of all, top right-hand corner, here's where I recorded that instruction. So here's that audio tab. If I give it a click, it says start recording, and everyone hates hearing their voice back to them, but I guess I got to show you. And I'll hit pause there and I'll add it into the top corner. And that's all students are going to need to do to hear your instruction. And then here, this magic wand, I can click it and I can turn it into either an individual, group, or a whole class workspace. The very last thing that I want to point out to you is here at the top. Just click on the same icons that you've been using as a student, right? And that's going to show you where you can add images, add web links, or images from your computer. And then here's how I would just, I would build in some text just by clicking on that text tab, that A tab right here. And then, of course, everything in Smart, we can move it around, we can change the properties. But I do want you to know, click that chevron here, and we can duplicate, we can copy, paste. Here's that infinite cloner that I used right at the very start of our lesson. So that's how I got your masks to go where they wanted. So just really useful tools built in, and I hope that you find them useful too. I'm gonna stop presenting now, and I'm just gonna pause and take your questions, because I'm sure that can be very overwhelming. I just want you to know you can click this training tab. It'll bring you to a scaffolded page of everything you need to get started with this. And remember, anytime you're in doubt, click the Scholar tab here that's on your activities, and it'll explain exactly what each of the icons do. So I'll pause. Questions, anything that